notice how some places just seem to have this incredible tapestry of human faces, features, histories?
Yeah. Like the land itself is reflected in the people.
Exactly. And today we're doing a deep dive into one really extraordinary place, Lebanon.
Ah, Lebanon. Definitely fits that description.
The big question we're unpacking is, what makes Lebanon's people look so, well, different? We've got some amazing sources. You shared history, genetics, anthropology, even cultural critiques.
Yeah, a real mix of perspectives.
And our mission is to pull out the key insights, those nuggets of knowledge from all of it.
It's a fascinating journey, honestly. The faces you see walking down a street in Beirut or up in the mountains, they tell a story.
A story written right there.
Right on skin and bone, yeah. Echoing centuries of empires, trade, migration. We'll explore how all these influences created this population with just an astonishing range of appearances.
A living testament to human diversity, as you put it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's get ready to discover what makes this vibrant mosaic tick.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's unpack this first big idea. Our sources really hammer home that Lebanon has always been a meeting point, a crossroads.
Absolutely fundamental. Can't understand Lebanon without that context.
We're talking like Phoenician sailors thousands of years ago.
Yeah, connecting the entire Mediterranean world. They were everywhere.
And then came the Greeks, the Romans, the Byzantines,
That's right.
just wave after wave.
Each leaving their mark, yeah. And that's before the Arab conquests, the Crusades.
Right, the Crusader kingdoms, then the long Ottoman period, and finally the French Mandate.
It's just layer upon layer.
Right.
And modern Lebanon reflects that, with all its distinct groups, Maronites, Druze, Sunni, Shia, Armenians.
And smaller minorities, too, all contributing to this blend over centuries.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is how directly you can trace this history in the genetics.
Okay, tell us about the studies you mentioned.
Yeah, so studies from around 2017 show that maybe 70–75% of Lebanese ancestry goes way back to ancient Levantine and Phoenician populations. There's a strong local foundation.
Right, indigenous roots.
But layered on top, you see a significant chunk, maybe 10–15% of Mediterranean and European input.
Okay.
And another 10–15% from Arabian admixture. It's this genetic cocktail.
So it's not just history, it's literally mapped onto their genes.
Precisely. And that's why the appearances can range so dramatically. From what someone might stereotypically think of as Middle Eastern to someone who looks very Mediterranean or even quite European.
It's a direct reflection, then, a land shaped by, well, pretty much every major power in the region.
Exactly. Reshaping the population over millennia.
Wow. That really sets the stage.
It does. And it leads us right into the visual diversity, like the range of complexions.
Ah, yes, the canvas of complexions. This is where it gets really visible, isn't it? Lebanon seems to show some of the widest variation in skin tones in the Middle East.
It really does. Our sources point this out clearly.
So in the mountains and northern regions, you mentioned lighter olive and fair tones are more common.
That's right. You see more of that up there. But then along the coast, and especially in the south,
it shifts.
Yeah, medium to darker olive complexions become more dominant. The surveys give us some numbers, too.
Oh, like what percentages?
Well, roughly about 55% of Lebanese fall into those olive to light brown ranges. Then maybe 30% are lighter olive to fair.
Okay.
And around 15% have deeper brown tones. You see that more in some southern communities and also in urban areas where there's been more Arabian and African input over time.
That's a huge range within one population.
It is.
Which brings up something else our sources flagged. How is this diversity actually perceived? Inside Lebanon, in the media.
That's a really important and sometimes sensitive point. There's a bit of a controversy highlighted in the sources.
How so?
Well, it seems that in Lebanese fashion, media, advertising, lighter skin often gets presented as more glamorous, maybe more desirable.
While darker complexions.
They tend to be underrepresented. Critics argue this really reinforces Eurocentric beauty standards.
And kind of erases the authentic diversity on the ground.
Exactly. It creates this narrow ideal that doesn't match the reality for a lot of Lebanese people.
That's a critical layer to this. Do the sources suggest why that bias exists? Or what people are doing about it?
They often connect it back to colonial influences, global media trends favoring European looks, stuff that got internalized over time.
I see.
And the pushback. Critics are calling for, much greater representation, celebrating the full spectrum of Lebanese beauty, not just one part of it.
Makes sense. Okay, moving from skin to eyes, another striking feature.
Definitely.
Well, most Lebanese, maybe 65–70%, have dark brown eyes, Lighter eyes, hazel, green, blue, seem much more common there than in neighboring countries.
They really are. You definitely encounter them more frequently than you might expect for the region.
So what do the genetic surveys say about this? How common are we talking?
The genetics suggest about 20–25% of Lebanese carry genes for lighter eye colors.
Wow. A quarter of the population.
Roughly, yeah. And they tend to be concentrated more in those mountain and coastal communities.
The ones with stronger Mediterranean links historically.
Exactly. Blue and green eyes are particularly frequent among, say, Maronite and Druze populations up in the north, sometimes over 30% in certain villages.
30%? That's remarkable.
That really is.
Is this variation, like skin tone, also something people talk about or debate?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a point of both pride and sometimes debate.
How does that play out?
Well, some people highlight the light eyes as proof of Mediterranean or European connections, tying it to that part of their heritage.
Kind of like, see, we have European links.
Sort of, yeah. While others push back and insist that the deep brown eyes are just as authentic, maybe more representative of their core Levantine heritage.
So it gets tied up in identity.
Deeply. How appearance connects to history and who you are.
Okay, so skin, eyes. Let's talk hair. The diversity keeps going.
It really does.
I found it really surprising that lighter hair, shades, chestnut, auburn, even some blonde aren't seen as extremely rare, especially in the north. Is that unusual for the region?
It is pretty unique compared to many neighbors, yes.
Mm-hmm.
While, okay, maybe 60% have the straight to wavy dark brown or black hair you might expect.
Right, the more common perception.
A solid 25% have strongly wavy or curly textures. You see that more in southern and coastal areas.
Okay.
And then, yes, that 15% or so showing lighter shades. Chestnut, auburn, occasional blonde. It's noticeable, particularly in the north, and also among families with Armenian or other Mediterranean-influenced backgrounds.
It really does challenge that monolithic Middle Eastern look idea.
Completely. It highlights this other genetic thread that's often overlooked.
And scientifically, what's the reason researchers give for this?
They point to that continuous gene flow, as they call it, from Mediterranean and European populations mixing in over centuries.
Just constant contact and exchange.
Exactly. It's not a one-off event, but a long historical process leaving its mark. That's why these traits aren't just anomalies. They're relatively common compared to elsewhere in the Middle East.
Got it. And beyond hair color and texture, facial structures also tell a story. Our sources broke down some regional patterns.
They did, yes. It's quite fascinating how anthropologists map this out.
Can you walk us through some of those differences, like north versus south?
Sure. So in northern Lebanon, you might tend to see, on average, narrower noses, maybe lighter skin, as we discussed, higher cheekbones. Features often linked to that Mediterranean and European influence.
Okay.
Then in central Lebanon, Beirut, Mount Lebanon, you often find what are described as more classic Levantine features. Olive skin, oval faces, moderate nose height, typically brown eyes.
The kind of central type, maybe?
In a way, yeah. And then as you head towards southern Lebanon, the prevalence shifts again. Maybe more common to see darker skin, broader noses, curlier hair, reflecting more of that Arabian and African admixture we talked about from the genetic studies.
And we shouldn't forget the other groups, like Armenians.
Absolutely not. Armenian, Lebanese, and other minorities often bring in features like fairer skin, lighter eyes, and distinct Caucasian facial structures, adding another whole layer.
It's just layer upon layer upon layer.
It is.
Yeah.
And the anthropological studies quantify this. They show significant variation, like up to 14% difference in nasal indices.
Which is basically no shape and proportion.
Right. And 12% difference in craniofacial angles across different Lebanese groups. That's a really striking amount of physical variation packed into a pretty small country.
Only about 10,500 square kilometers.
Exactly. It just speaks to how intense the mixing has been in this compact, strategically located area over millennia.
That's a really powerful way to think about it. Even height tells a story here.
It does, surprisingly.
Modern Lebanese apparently average among the tallest in the Arab world. That might surprise some people. What are the numbers?
Yeah, the recent surveys, like from 2020, put the average man at 176 centimeters. That's about 5'9". And women average 163 centimeters, around 5'4".
And does this vary across the country too?
It does. Regionally, men up in the north, like Akkar and Mount Lebanon, tend to be a bit taller, maybe closer to 177, 178 centimeters on average.
Okay.
Whereas in the south, the average is slightly shorter, maybe 173 and 174 centimeters. And Beirut, being this urban melting pot with probably better nutrition historically.
It's closer to European averages.
Pretty much, yeah. Reflecting that mix and also development factors.
And has this height changed over time?
Oh, significantly. The health data shows Lebanese man, for example, has gotten almost 9 centimeters taller over the last century.
Wow. That's modernization, diet, healthcare.
All playing a role, yes.
Right.
But this whole discussion of physical traits brings us to a really tricky area. The idea of a typical Lebanese look.
Ah, right. The controversy you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Outsiders might have this simple picture, olive skin, dark eyes, dark wavy hair.
The stereotype, basically.
Right. But inside Lebanon, identity and appearance are fiercely debated. It's not simple at all.
So how does that internal debate actually play out given all this diversity we've been talking about?
Well, it gets complex. You have some people who might highlight Lebanese individuals with lighter skin and eyes, framing them as representing, say, authentic Phoenician heritage.
Linking appearance to a specific ancient identity.
Exactly, arguing for a particular lineage. But then others argue just as strongly that the majority look the olive skin, the dark eyes, is what truly reflects their deeper Levantine roots, the enduring regional identity.
So it becomes a question of which narrative, which history gets emphasized through appearance.
Precisely. Who gets to define what's typical or authentic when the reality is so varied?
And politics gets woven into this too.
Inevitably. Different religious and ethnic groups might sometimes frame their particular look as evidence of their distinct origins.
Like Maronites emphasizing Mediterranean ties.
Or Druze highlighting their unique Levantine heritage. Or Shia and Sunni communities pointing to Arabian connections. Appearance becomes a marker, sometimes subtly, sometimes overtly, in these identity narratives.
It sounds incredibly layered.
It is. However, and this is crucial, the scientists, the geneticists, they point out that all Lebanese, regardless of how they look, share that deep genetic continuity with the ancient Levantine populations.
So beneath the surface variations.
The underlying heritage is largely shared. The roots are common, even if the branches have grown in very different directions visually. It's a powerful counterpoint to attempts to divide based on appearance.
That's a really important clarification. Let's try to picture this. Imagine walking down Hamra Street in Beirut, like our sources suggest, just soaking it all in.
Okay, yeah. A bustling scene.
You might see, say, a tall young guy with bright blue eyes and chestnut hair laughing with his friends at a cafe. Then across the street, maybe a woman with warm olive skin, really striking almond-shaped brown eyes, selling pastries from a little stall.
I can picture it.
And nearby, maybe a farmer from the south, his skin darker from the sun, unloading produce, maybe with curlier hair.
Yeah.
Each face completely distinct, each person with their own story, but all Lebanese.
That captures it perfectly, that everyday mosaic. And for many Lebanese, their appearance is deeply tied to heritage, to pride.
How so?
Families might boast about their Phoenician features, or their light eyes, or being tall, connecting these traits back to a valued ancestry or history.
A source of identity.
Definitely. But the flip side is also true. Prejudice still exists, unfortunately.
Still, based on appearance.
Yeah. The sources suggest that darker-skinned Lebanese, perhaps more often from the South or from working-class backgrounds, can still face bias, while lighter-skinned individuals often tend to be more visible in media, in politics.
Creating that imbalance we talked about earlier.
Exactly. So pride exists alongside prejudice. It's complex.
But you mentioned change is happening. It's not totally static.
No, definitely not. And that's hopeful. There's a growing movement, especially among younger Lebanese.
What are they doing?
They're increasingly embracing the entire range of Lebanese looks, from olive to darker tones, from curly to straight hair, all of it, saying this is all us.
Actively pushing back.
Yeah, through social media campaigns, art, conversation, really celebrating all Lebanese appearances and challenging those older, narrower beauty standards.
Yeah.
Trying to build a more inclusive self-image.
That sounds like a positive shift.
I think so. And ultimately, scientists and historians agree on this. You just can't define Lebanon by one single look. It is a mosaic.
Phoenician roots.
Layered with Arab, Mediterranean, Armenian, African traces. All of it. And this diversity, yeah, sometimes it causes tension, but it's also profound proof of resilience.
Resilience through all the history.
Invasions, civil war, endless crises. And yet, the people endure. And their varied faces kind of reflect the endurance of a land that just never stopped absorbing the world.
So let's bring it all together. What makes Lebanon's people look so different? What's the core answer?
I think the answer really is in its geography, its history, its mountains, its seacoasts, those centuries upon centuries of migrations and mixing.
It's all there in their faces.
Yeah, Levantine continuity, Mediterranean mixing, Arabian heritage, European echoes, all simmering together.
So when you see someone with striking blue eyes in the north,
and someone else with deep brown eyes in the south,
or someone with auburn hair in bustling Beirut,
you're not seeing contradictions. You're seeing Lebanon itself, layered, complex, diverse, and just vibrantly alive.
that's a beautiful way to put it. And maybe the takeaway for all of us listening to this deep dive is that identity. It's rarely about just one single face.
Mm.
It's about all the faces, all the stories coming together to form a nation, a community. What stands out most to you about this incredible Lebanese diversity, thinking about it now?